will remind you greatly of Chaim Ozer.
Try to talk directly into the mic. Raise the mic.
I stand here before you, proudly at a loss for words, unable to adequately express our deep feelings of anguish, and fully equipped to convey the manifold virtues of the Nifter, Rav Chaim Ozer ben Rav Yitzchak HaKohen. When I was asked to speak, my nephew read off the names of the other speakers, but what jarred me the most was one missing name. Because at all the family get-togethers, we always look forward to hearing Chaim Ozer speak. My family simchas in particular, he would even try to incorporate a gematria, knowing how much my shver would enjoy the vart. But now Chaim Ozer is silent, and his actions will speak louder than words, and they will remain his eternal legacy. Many people comment how much Chaim Ozer and I looked alike, and we would joke that we were twins. Just as my mother's pregnancy lasted for 2 years between our births. It's said that twins, real or otherwise, feel a special bond, a special sense of attachment. But now the loss is so deep, leaving a huge gaping hole in our hearts. I was so proud to look like him and to be mistaken for him. When we were together in shul, at Yitzi's Chasana, people would do a double take. And when Chaim Ozer was visiting his children in camp, many of my former Masifta students would come up to him thinking it was me, and they would ask him why I had given them a certain grade on the report card. He would greet them warmly, and with a smile, he would joke that they were lucky enough to get that grade. Needless to say, this left a lot of explaining to do when school resumed in the fall. Chaim Ozer was so aptly named, his name was his essence. He had such a simchas achayim, a love of life that radiated and affected everyone that he would come into contact with. His beautiful smile and twinkle in his eye exuded so much love and affection. Chaim Ozer has a beautiful mishpacha full of wonderful boys. For my daughters, would always remind him that they were his daughters too. Every Shabbos on his way home from work, he would call our home to wish us a good Shabbos. And when my daughters would explain that I wasn't home yet from work, Chaim Ozer would insist that he had actually called to speak to them, to wish them a good Shabbos. The girls competed to be called Chaim Ozer's favorites. And in return, Hashem blessed Chaim Ozer with 4 beautiful granddaughters of his very own. Chaim Ozer was also an Ozer, a helper in so many ways. Growing up 2 years younger than him, he was my protector in school and on the streets. He led by example. We were both part of a choir for the Yom Noraim. We were the only children in the choir. The rest were adult men. Chaim and I sang the duets together until the very last year, when he decided just before we were supposed to sing together that it was time for me to sing solo. With a big smile on his face, he stood there silent, signaling for me to go it alone, acknowledging I was ready. I imagine Chaim Ozer now smiling even now, encouraging me, motivating me, and helping me. Our family was zeichet to host Chaim Ozer and his family for Pesach for the past several years. He enlivened our yontif. He never sat by idly. He was always taking charge, preparing the table, making haraisis, helping out in the kitchen, and regaling us with his stories from our childhood and with his minhagim. leaving my children to wonder if we both had the same parents. But we cherished his company, his sense of humor, and his vibrant Simchas HaChaim. What will our next Pesach be like without him? What will the next Simcha be without him? What will tomorrow be like without him? When we visited Chaim Ozer in the hospital, he never complained of any pains. He withstood so many struggles, so many Yisurim that he seemed to be invincible. He bolstered our emunah. When we wished him refuah shalema, he always mouthed the word Amen. He clenched his fist and he pointed and he looked upward. When we told him the news of the impending engagement of my daughter Sari to our son Simi, he squeezed my hand, overjoyed at hearing the news. His smile lit up the room. When my daughters stayed with Simi in the hospital over Shavuos, Chaim Ozer was so happy to see them. He pantomimed the message. He made a circular motion, and then he raised his arms upward. After several tries, my daughters understood the message. On Shavuos, Bnei Yisrael surrounded Har Sinai, and only the Ribono Shel Olam can give us the strength to keep on going. Ribono Shel Olam wants to hear our tefillos, wants us to learn his Hail the Torah. And when Chaim Ozer finally realized that his message was finally understood, he nodded and he smiled. My sister Bluma asked me also to include this last thought. We ask in the Haggadah Tisha Miyadeya. We enter Tisha Yarchei Leida, 9 months of conception before a child transforms from one phase into this world. With pain and struggle, a child is born, is ultimately raised to be an Oved Hashem, abetted by wonderful other Sabbanic programs, which spur a child's love of Torah. This was Chaim's prize project, to raise beautiful banim, his own and his communities. Chaim Ozer too endured his own 9 months of pain and struggles without complaint from this olam directly to Olam Haba. I can picture Bubby and Sadie greeting him warmly, ushering him to the Olam Ha'emes. We ask Mechila from Chaim Ozer for anything that we have done. May Chaim Ozer ben Rabbi Yitzchak Cohen be Yemei with Yosher for the entire family and for Klal Yisrael.